In a world painted with the soft hues of a dream, where sunlight dappled through ancient forests and streams whispered secrets to the wind, lived a man named Elias. But don't let the beauty of this place fool you. For Elias, this paradise was a prison, a constant, aching reminder of everything he had lost. Once, he was a warrior, his name a bastion of hope for his people. He fought not for glory, but for the simple, profound peace of his village nestled in the Whispering Valley. He fought for the laughter of children chasing fireflies at dusk, for the warmth of hearths on cold nights, for the quiet love he shared with his family. Then came the invaders, the Iron Horde, with fire in their eyes and steel in their hearts. They swept through the valley like a plague, their laughter a cruel mockery of the life they extinguished. Elias fought with the fury of a cornered wolf, his blade a silver blur against the encroaching darkness. He fought until his body screamed, until his comrades fell around him like autumn leaves, until the smoke of his burning home choked the sky. He survived, but survival was its own kind of curse. The invaders left, their conquest complete, leaving behind a silence more deafening than any war cry. Now, years later, Elias lived a life of quiet solitude in the ruins of his past. He tended a small garden, its vibrant life a stark contrast to the ghost town around him. He fished in the now clear river, the water reflecting a face that had forgotten how to smile. The world had moved on, but Elias was anchored to his memories, a phantom haunting his own life. The Ghibli-esque beauty of the world, the impossibly blue sky, the rolling green hills, the gentle creatures that sometimes visited his lonely cottage, it was all a beautiful lie. Beneath the surface, his soul was a wasteland of grief and rage. He tried to forget. He tried to heal. He told himself vengeance was a fool's errand, a path that led only to more darkness. The world was at peace, they said. The Iron Horde had been integrated, their leaders pardoned in the name of a fragile unity. But how could there be peace when the ghosts of his loved ones whispered to him in the wind? How could there be unity when the men who had stolen his world walked free, their hands stained with the blood of his people? One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, casting long, mournful shadows across the valley, a traveler stumbled upon his solitude. The man was a merchant, his cart laden with goods from the new capital. He spoke of progress, of new beginnings, of the prosperity brought by the new regime, the very same regime forged by the commanders of the Iron Horde. He spoke their names with reverence, names that were acid on Elias's tongue. As the merchant rambled on, oblivious, a small carved wooden bird fell from his pack. Elias recognized it instantly. It was the symbol of his village, a toy he had carved for his own daughter. The merchant, seeing Elias's gaze, picked it up. "Ah, this trinket?" he laughed. "A curiosity from the old burnt valley, they call it now. Picked it up for a song from a retired general. Funny, he said he took it from a little girl's hand. Said she had the most defiant eyes he'd ever seen, right before." The merchant trailed off, shrugging. In that moment, something inside Elias, something he had held back for years, finally shattered. The carefully constructed dam of patience and restraint crumbled, and a torrent of pure, undiluted rage flooded his being. The peace he had forced upon himself was a lie. The forgiveness he had sought was a betrayal. He said nothing. He simply took the wooden bird from the startled merchant's hand. His grip was so tight the wood groaned. The merchant, finally sensing the chilling shift in the atmosphere, stammered an excuse and hurried away, leaving Elias alone with the setting sun and the ghost of a little girl's defiant eyes. That night, Elias did not sleep. He went to the hidden alcove beneath his floorboards, a place he hadn't visited in years. He pulled out a long, cloth-wrapped bundle. As he unwrapped it, the moonlight caught the glint of polished, battle-worn steel. It was his old armor, his twin swords. They felt heavier now, not with rust, but with the weight of a promise he had failed to keep. He donned the armor, each piece clicking into place like a final, fateful decision. He was no longer the quiet gardener, the hermit of the burnt valley. He was Elias, the last warrior of his people. The time for mourning was over. The time for peace had been a lie. Now there was only a reckoning. His journey began at dawn. He moved like a shadow through the peaceful lands, a stark, grim figure against the picturesque backdrop. The Ghibli world, with its gentle winds and sun-kissed fields, seemed to recoil from his presence, the air growing heavy with his intent. He traveled not to the capital, but to the opulent estate of the retired general, the man who held a child's toy as a trophy. He found the estate easily, a grotesque monument to stolen wealth built upon the ashes of countless homes like his. There were guards, of course, but they were soft, complacent men who had never faced a true warrior. For them, it was a job. For Elias, it was a sacrament. He moved through them not with the wild fury of his youth, but with a cold, terrifying efficiency. There were no wasted movements, no triumphant cries. Just the whisper of steel and the soft thud of bodies falling to the manicured lawns. He was a force of nature, a storm of quiet retribution that had finally broken. He found the general in his study, surrounded by maps and trophies of his conquests. The man was old now, fat and content. He looked up, annoyed at the intrusion, his eyes widening in disbelief and then dawning recognition as he saw the armor, the swords, and the face of a ghost from his past. "You," he breathed, scrambling for a dagger on his desk. Elias didn't give him the chance. He crossed the room in 2 strides, his sword a blur. The general's plea for mercy was cut short. His life ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. On the desk, next to a spilled glass of wine, lay the little wooden bird. Elias picked it up, his face an unreadable mask. His mission wasn't over. This was just the beginning. There were other names, other architects of his people's destruction living comfortable lives, their past sins forgotten by all but him. Leaving the estate behind, with silent alarms beginning to chime, Elias walked back into the world. He was no longer a man seeking peace. He had found his purpose in the heart of his pain. He was the memory the world tried to forget, the consequence they had hoped to outrun. The beautiful, serene world would soon learn the name Elias again, not as a hero, but as an omen. For the warrior had returned, and this time he had no mercy left to give. His path was now one of darkness, but it was a path he would walk to the very end, until every last debt was paid in blood. The quiet gardener was dead. All that remained was the ghost, and his name was Vengeance.